Hello there. Welcome to Greet and Crime Time. I'm your host Liz, and welcome back any returning morbid, creepy friends. How are you today? So, I hope you're having a fabulous one. This is take number 2 of trying to film this video. When I filmed it the last time, the file ended up being corrupt, and I don't know why. But it's fine. So today we are talking about three cases that involve one subject, and that subject is a person of interest in 2 of them, and one that was found guilty and convicted first-degree murder in the 3rd one. So if you want to go ahead and stick around, I highly suggest you hit the subscribe button, turn your notification bell on to all, and let's get into today's true crime case. You know, a little side note. This isn't my first channel. So I used to have a homemaking channel, and it just kind of dawned on me, why don't I just marry my art and crime together? So if were a subscriber on that channel, thank you for subscribing to this channel and enjoying my weirdness, because it's a hot mess express, just like this hair. But anywho, so today we are talking about 3 cases, 2 unsolved homicides and 1 solved homicide, and the common denominator in this case is a man named Edward Pehowic. And these 3 cases happened in Dover and in Rollinsford, New Hampshire. Now, if you don't know where that is, it's in Stratford County in New Hampshire. It's technically within the Tri-City area, which that would be Rochester, Somersworth, and Dover. Rollinsford is kind of it attaches to all 3, and it's right next to Berwick. If you've never been in the area, I mean, good for you, I guess. If you live in another state, you can look up pictures of what it looks like. Yeah, so these 3 cases, with him being the common denominator, wasn't something that was readily, wasn't something that police discovered until after his fourth victim had stated something to them while she was being questioned about a crime he committed against her. But before I get there, I'll introduce our 3 victims. We have Lisa K Snyder, we have Sheila Holmes, and then we have Caswell. These 3 women all have distinctive characteristics that are highly similar with the manner of how they were killed. One in particular would be strangulation, and all 3 of these women were just killed brutally, and one of them, which was the most horrific one, that's the one where he was actually charged with her murder. Caswell is the most heart-wrenching when we get there. So a little bit to talk about. We're going to go through each one and kind of talk about Edward all together. So Lisa K Snyder, she was last seen on the 4th of July in 1985, and this is when she was staying with her sister in Rollinsford. Now, she was just staying with her sister because she wanted to visit her. Lisa was born on the 10th of September in 1964 in Franklin, New Hampshire, and she is the daughter of Eli Snyder and Sheila Kenny. And the day she left her sister's house, she went to go to a nightclub in Dover, and that was the last time anybody had seen her. Now, it wouldn't be until the 18th of April in 1987 until remains were found on Rollins Road in Rollinsford, and they believe they believe that this is the old Dodge farm land where this remains were found. And the remains were found due to a man going to look at like old farm equipment and a broken stone foundation, and that's when he discovered remains and called the police. And Officer Ducharme of Rollinsford PD is the one that ended up responding to the call and going to the actual location and obviously found the remains. Now, when I first looked up her, like, Lisa's case, they don't really explain what state her body was found in. It wasn't until I went on the actual Department of Justice for New Hampshire where I found kind of like what state her body was in. Her body was full skeletal remains that had indications of strangulation marks on it. So the medical examiner and the coroner determined that she was strangled to death. And her case has been unsolved since identifying her and determining her cause of death. It's so disheartening knowing that women, not even just women, people in general, can just go missing at the drop of a hat, and you never know when they're going to turn up. It's just really, really sad. It hurts. I feel really bad for people that, like, they go missing and you can't find them. Like, I worked with a girl who is related to a woman that's been missing from Exeter, New Hampshire for years. And till this day, they still have no idea where her remains are. Like, they have a suspect, but they don't know where her remains are. I might cover that in another video, but before I get ahead of myself, we're going to kind of move into our next victim. Now, the one important, like, distinctive difference between all three women is that Lisa was not a mom. That's the only thing that's really different, is she wasn't a mom. So the next victim in our set of three is Sheila Holmes, and she was born on the 10th of April in 1959 in Dover, New Hampshire. And so it's kind of hard. With Sheila, she was a divorced mother of 5, and the night she went missing, it was after she got off of work. She went to a nightclub on Mechanic Street called St. Jean's, and this is the place she was last seen, was at that nightclub. And when she left, she told people that she was going to pick up her boyfriend from work in Somersworth. Well, that would be the last time anybody would see her until they discovered her body. So it was literally the next day when they discovered her body. And this would be, so the last time they saw her was on a Friday, which was the 13th of April in 1990. And they discovered her literally not even that long afterwards. She was discovered in front of a blue pickup truck near the railroad tracks on Forest Street in Dover. So it's not even like that far from the nightclub. She didn't really make it that far. And also, too, because of the type of person that Sheila was, she was known as being, like, a very, very happy and, like, outgoing and friendly person. There's a lot of kind of, like, questioning as to why she was at that specific nightclub, because it wasn't your normal nightclub. It was more of, like, I don't want to say like a biker club, but I mean, kind of. It wasn't like, we'll say it's more like a pub or a tavern. It wasn't like what you imagine for a nightclub with like rave music and lights, strobe lights everywhere. But yeah, it was very, from what I read, it was kind of like out of character for her to be at a club like that. So after her body was discovered, when they brought her in for an autopsy, it was determined that she had been strangled. She suffered blunt force trauma. She also had multiple rib fractures. I don't know why I tried to fumble over that. Multiple rib fractures, and she had a lacerated renal artery. She was brutally beaten, and unfortunately, the strangulation was what led to her demise. Now, her case would also be, it remains unsolved, and Edward Pehowic is still the main suspect in this case, as he is for Lisa. Now, when they first discovered her body, police thought that it was a robbery, but when her family members stated that, like, when they were going through her items, that she still had money in her pocket that she won from a contest at work. So if she was robbed, they would have taken that money, and it's really like unclear why the cops thought that it was robbery. I mean, if she was found in front of a pickup truck, I would assume that it would be like a hit and run, or just somebody hit her and they ran away. I don't know. Also, there is a dual name to the nightclub that she went to. So some people call it St. Jean's and other people call it the Starlight Club. I can't really find a definitive on which one it is. But what I do know, because I have driven near where it was, it's not a club anymore. So, but yeah. Yeah. So, obviously, yes, till this day, her murder is unsolved, but just with a suspect in mind. And now we are leading into Carol Caswell. So, this one is more, I can go more in depth with this one because there's more known about her actual murder than there is with Sheila and with Lisa. So Carol Caswell was born on the 14th of July in 1961 in Portsmouth. She is the daughter of Burton and Dorothy Caswell. She was also a mother of one child. And so Carol was with Edward Pehowic the night she was murdered. That's the thing that really separates her case versus the other two, is because she was known to actually be with him that night. She was also with him and another man, and his name is Mickey. Well, Mickey, they called him Mickey. His name is Merrill Tompkins, and this was in August of 1996. So, what is known is that Edward and Mickey were drinking, like heavily drinking around this time, and Carol went to go like hang out with them at the pond. And the pond in particular they were at is called Willand Pond, which is very popular hiking trails and a fishing spot. And for the past few years it's been like a homeless encampment area for Dover. I mean, they were just vacated, unfortunately. But so this is the area where they were, and she was hanging out with them, and they were all drinking and trying to have a good time. And that was until they began to torment her and beat her, and eventually, like, Edward just started taunting her and told her that, didn't really tell her. He suggested for her to try and swim to the other side of the pond, but after she got into the water, he literally stepped on her head and caused her to drown. And after she, like, they noticed she passed away, they took her body and they disposed of it across state lines. So now it's not only a New Hampshire case, it's now a Maine case because they disposed of her body in Maine. Nothing would really come of this until Patricia Landry comes forward to the police when she tells police that Edward Pehowic had assaulted her. So, and this is in 1998. What is really, it's hard to, man. So, Edward Pehowic was known as a complete asshole. If you don't like swearing, I'm sorry. But he was known as a vicious, absolute asshole who had a horrible temper and liked to take it out on other people if he didn't get his way. I know that he worked at Prime Tanning, which used to be a warehouse. I don't know if it still is one, but from a story I read, he was known that if somebody tried to start something with him, he wouldn't back down until that other person did. Like, he was, if you got in his face, he would beat you down to the ground. He didn't care. And it was that attitude and that, like, anger and drive that made him very well known in this area. And there was a story I found where somebody said something to him at work, and it took 5 guys to hold him down because he would not relent from trying to go after that other person. That's how angry he got. I've never read something about somebody where it literally took 5 people to hold them down. I just don't get it. Yeah, so Patricia Landry is somebody that knew Edward, and what happened is basically when she was being assaulted by Edward, he told her that he killed Carol and dumped her body. So after she got away from him and went to the police, when they were questioning her, that's when they told her what he had said. And now they had picked him up for the charges, for the assault charges against Landry, and they tried to talk to him in regards to the murder of Carol. Now, mind you, Carol died in 1996. This happened in 1998. So, when they eventually go to trial, the cops that are involved in this case, when it came to, obviously, Patricia Landry's assault charges, they would help, obviously, Dover PD and Rollinsford PD, they would all come together to work together to really figure out what had happened to Carol. And there's one officer in particular that kind of put 2 and 2 together, and that was Detective Thomas Stinglin. I don't know why I can't say his name right. So Detective Thomas Stinglin is the one that started noticing the similarities between the 3 cases with Sheila, Lisa, and with Carol. When Stinglin was first notified about Carol's case, he actually previously contacted Edward Pehowic in regards to her case, and nothing had really come of it until the assault charges came up against him. And Stinglin and another officer Officer Tucker also started talking about the similarities with Sheila Holmes' case and Lisa Snyder's case, and how similar, and what if it was Edward that was the one that committed the murders. There's a so I ended up going through the entire court document that I could find. Obviously not like the full-on court document, just like little summaries here and there about the case. Now, he was in custody in 1998, and Edward Pehowic tried to get a lot of things thrown out when he was officially charged with Carol Caswell's murder, like stating that he was Mirandized when he was discussing things with officers. There was a motion about him invoking his Fifth Amendment right to counsel and stuff like that. There was a lot of different things that he tried to do in order to get his case thrown away. And there was one meeting in particular that he had with Officer Tucker, and that was between April 7th and 8th in 1998, when he was being interrogated. Now, he didn't have counsel with him, but he was already Mirandized at this point, where he actually confessed to the murder of Carol. And this confession as well, he tried to get thrown away because he felt that he wasn't under Miranda rights, so nothing is admissible in court and all that jazz. It didn't work in his benefit. He ended up being found guilty of first-degree murder, and he is serving a life sentence. Yeah, he's serving a life sentence, and he is in an Oregon prison facility currently, living out the remainder of his life there. And to this day, he is a suspect in Lisa and in Sheila's cases. I know within the past couple of years, Sheila's family has really been trying to get the police to press charges against Edward, but without... Now, I don't know what evidence the police department has in regards to that case, but without any physical evidence or any, anything that ties him to her, there is no grounds to have a warrant for arrest. Do you understand what it... There's no means for him. I mean, he's just a suspect. So, with that being said, I hope you guys enjoyed today's 3 cases. Originally, I had them all separated in different videos, but I felt like doing them all together because they all deal with one man in particular as a suspect and being the convicted killer of. I felt it was necessary just to keep them together, and it's because of all 3 of them, how tragic they are. I really hope that eventually charges are brought against him and justice will be served. So I hope you guys enjoyed today's video. If you did, don't forget to hit the like button, subscribe if you're new. I'd love to have you. And I'll see you guys in my next video. Bye, guys.